we are the descendants of those people.
Go ahead, read that. Verse 68.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
So you know we left Egypt the first time. Moses pleaded with Pharaoh to let his people go. And remember they walked out of Egypt. They walked through the Red Sea. They get ready to the wilderness. And then they walked out of Egypt. Now he said, the curse was, I'm going to send you back into Egypt. Now what was the Israelites' occupation in Egypt? What were they doing in Egypt? They were slaves. They were building the cities up and all those type of things for the pharaohs. So they were in bondage in Egypt. So he said, I'm going to send you back into bondage. I'm going to send you back into Egypt. And we're going to prove that too, what Egypt means as well. Read that.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So Egypt is synonymous for bondage for the Israelites. They were slaves in Egypt. Read that for time.
I'm assuming you probably will in church that to get from there today.
So, man, that's like the Lord, he was tapping me on the head a few different times. And I'm trying to make it quick. So it was an older brother I worked with at my job. He came to me and was like, hey man, he was giving me different input on the Bible, but he never really was showing me scriptures. He was just telling me off the top of his head. And I grew up in church like, man, I believe in Christianity. That's what I grew up in. Then I ran into a brother I went to school with. I went to school with his sister. And he seen me talking on Facebook about something dealing with the Bible. And he's like, man, we got to study. So I went and visited the school with him. And I kind of learned. But my wife really wasn't all the way in it. And she didn't really understand. So I just kept studying on my own for a while. And I ran into another brother who invited me to his house right before Passover. And we sat down and watched some classes. And then from that point on, what I was getting from the Bible, just in that short, I said about a year and a half of me going through that, people kind of telling me about it, and me studying on my own, I was learning more than I did my whole entire life in church.
So how long have you been?
Now, about 5.5 years now. About 5.5 years. And I grew up, my dad's a deacon. He still goes to the same church I grew up in. And I learned more in the last 5 years than I did growing up in the church my whole entire life. And it started making me like, why is this information not out there? And then as you keep studying, and you keep proving stuff over and over that's in the Bible through history and different things like that, the Lord just put it like that understanding on us to say, what you got? The Spirit bear with that.
So to give you like the basic, like everybody has their individual story, but basically to give you a simplified answer, Romans chapter 8 and verse 16, the Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
Right.
So the majority of us did come from Christianity, but there's others as well that came from different religions and different beliefs. But at some point, all of us came across a brother or someone that told us about this. All of us kind of had a similar upbringing. We was in churches, but something didn't feel right. And then eventually we meet a brother or a sister that kind of talked to us, and it finally rung that bell. And that's when we started, at some point, we started the heart.
Now, go back to Deuteronomy 26:8, and this is one of the verses that was here getting taught. And I was like, well, I never heard about this in church. And then as you go down that path, you start seeing that religion is just a bunch of madness at the end of the day. There's a lot of confusion, and it's not teaching our people what we need to know to really inherit that eternal kingdom.
I freaked out when I heard this verse.
Go ahead.
I went outside and looked around, was like, does anybody know this?
So read it from the top. Now remember, we said Egypt means bondage as well. So read it from the top.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 16. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
I'm going to bring you into Egypt again, but how is he going to do it this time?
With ships.
Now we walked out the first time. So he said, I'm going to send you back into bondage on ships. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
So when you get off these ships, we plan that you're going to be sold to your enemies. Go ahead.
For bond men,
A slave man
and bond women,
and a slave woman. Keep going.
and no man shall buy you.
And that bondage is to redeem and save us out of this captivity. Because now they was purchasing us, but that wasn't getting us. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 16. So when we go through what they call like the Torah or the law of Moses, it gives us, it sets the whole precedence of what the whole Bible is about. Our rise and our fall as a people over and over and over again. And it shows how we are born into idolatry. And the Lord said he can't deal with us when we're in sin. So that's why he gave our strength over to other people.
I want to show you something real quick. Go to Leviticus 45. So what he was saying about being redeemed, it said no man shall buy you. It means no man is going to redeem you. So in our law, you was poor and got sold to somebody, one of your brothers could buy you out of there. You know how First Corinthians says before.
And then what Christianity did would use those servants and those buying those servitude, and they would use that to justify their slavery. That's not how the laws of the land was written. And they wanted to treat the way they treated us in that slavery. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 25, verse 47. And if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwelleth by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him.
So one of our brothers could redeem us out of captivity. But what the prophecy is saying is nobody's going to redeem you out of this one. We can only be redeemed out of this captivity by Christ, our Redeemer.
That's what we're waiting for. When they say, oh, Christ will return, Armageddon, and all that stuff, we waiting for the Lord to come keep us safe when he resets this whole entire thing. That's what's going to happen. This whole place is going to get reset, and that new kingdom is going to be here on earth. And we're supposed to be the ones that rule the shit. We learned the 7 sins.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So holy means to be separate. Like today's a Sabbath day. He said he rested on the 7th day. That day is way different from the rest of the week. We are separate people. We're supposed to be different from the other nations. We're supposed to be the ones setting the example for everybody. That you want 6 or 4 or 6. We're supposed to be the example to the other nations.
So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out of here. But I got that page saying, I kind of want to take a look. What you say it was Deuteronomy?
Chapter 28.
Verse 6 to 28.
So when you read chapter 28, the first part of the chapter is going to say all the blessings we're supposed to inherit for obedience. Then we get to verse 15 and say that if you're going to disobey, you're going to get these curses. And from 16 on down to 68, it's curses that y'all people have been through and still going through today.
68.
What's your name?
Charles.
Charles. Nice to meet you.
Charles.
All right, man. Brother, be safe, man.
Brother, yes, sir.
And man,